Good afternoon. I would like to share some stuff that I learned from my mother and my grandmother. Kind of like, I don't want to call them, I don't want to call it taboo. That sounds like kind of like
Like a no-no.
like it's something bad.
Yeah.
But kind of like just life's lessons, words of advice, if you want to call it, or things that a female needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to share with you, I learned as a young lady into my adulthood. First of all, I'd like to start out to share with you about what I was taught about helping out when one of your families in the Sundance. First and foremost is that when a female is on her moon, you are not supposed to touch the meat that is being prepared, that's taken into the lodge. But I used to just tell all the females not to even bother the food. And I was taught this by my mom. Was that as you were now my sister, Nisa Verna, because my brother Bucky, my brother-in-law Roger, my nephew Shannon, Austin Lillison, we all helped, and that's we kind of like we kind of all pitch in to help out at camp. And then I also learned from my sister Verna. She was kind of like the general at the camp, and she would always tell us what to do. And that's when she taught me how the lineup of the food as you prepare it to be taken into the lodge. And if I remember correctly, it's like the meat, corn, the berries, bread, and coffee. And then I guess if you have extras, that comes in on the tail end. But those are kind of like the 5 main things you take in to place in front of the dancer. And then you all file in single order, follow each other. And we were encouraged to wear dresses and then also a shawl. And I think that was like for modesty reasons. And then when we as we would still follow that same order as we're called in for by each dancer, and take that food in and place it in front of the dancer. And the other things that I learned also was that on when a lady is on her moon, that to stay completely away from the lodge, because the men are so sensitive to the smell that it could easily knock them to the ground. And that's why it's emphasized so strongly not to go around that lodge. And I respected that, and I would stay at the camp, or if any of the females made sure they stayed at the camp. And then the other things that I learned was like you never throw water at camp. You always pour it gently onto the soil. And then you never shake out like blankets, because I was told that when you so I respected that too. And then also the nadisiki kudom nakidana odam to the gashkania ikionia sa epipi staya give you encourage your children to be quiet, like a sign of respect and not to let them run around. And also we were scorned if we even thought about like I'll take a pot with me and go sit at the lodge.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to take any kind of drinks or food and sit around the lodge because they're fasting and you're not supposed to do that. So that's some of the things that I learned about and the female role of the ceremonial part when you go help at the Sundance. And the other things that I have learned from my grandma, Amia Josie Stanton Timber, she'd always tell us never to use a knife while we're cooking or use that knife to point at somebody. And she would always tell us to take care of our hair. The hoods in is to and you then take the hair off your comb or your brush. She should like make it into a ball. And she had a little linen drawstring pouch, like she would put her hair in there. And that one time I asked her, I said, how come you save your hair? And she just said to kind of like you protect your hair because sometimes the wrong person might get it and they could use it, I guess, in a bad way, like bad medicine, I guess. And she said that she every time she braided her hair, she would always clean her comb off and her brush, if she had a brush, and then she would roll it up and put it in this bag. And she said, "Not this, my one head, not this, my shinats." That was gonna be her pillow. And the other, my mother told me that she'd say she told me a story one time, or she told me that the same thing, to always clean your comb or your brush. She said, take your hair off. She said, same thing, that somebody could get a hold of it and use it in a bad way. And then she went on to tell me one time a story that, now I didn't ask her where she learned this from or who told her, but Shishinos ma'amawatne, muhnimudata, a human hair, mutzi o wadzias. And she'd say, that's what she would say. So make sure you put your hair away. So I don't know if anybody else has ever heard that, but I always think of that a lot, and I teach my grandchildren, my daughters, to do that too, to always clean off their combs. And I don't know if they throw it away or whatever, but I just told them to wad it up and put it in a safe place. And then some of the other things I think I might have shared was like, I know my mom taught me this, was that when you put your baby to sleep and you leave it alone in a room, you put a stick up against the bed or the crib or wherever the baby's sleeping. They're scared of sticks and they stay away from it. So that's one way of protecting your baby while your baby's sleeping and you're going about doing your household chores. Also, I learned that your curtains. And I'm assuming it's because spirits start to roam at that hour, and that to always close your windows so they can't look in at you. Also, I was taught never to eat outside at night, because the spirits, how about try to get that food from your mouth. Your mouth gets crooked. Now, but if you're eating in the house and you're going to go out, you have to wipe your mouth off. Clean your mouth off. Same thing. And another thing that I learned was my kinesinet. Well, your baby. Don't be lazy. Get up, take care of your baby, and clean the house. Do something, but don't be lazy, because you have to take care of your baby. And that always stuck with me. I guess to this day, I'm still, I like to clean, and even though I'm through having babies, but I just, I always think about that, that these babies are, they're newborns, and they're, so pure that we have to really watch out for them and just take care of them. And also I learned that you never walk in front of a ceremonial person. Is what I was told. And another thing was you never crawl into a window. If you do, you crawl back out. And I, of course, I never did crawl in a window, ever. And then my mom told me one time, I don't know why about snakes all the time, but she said, if you crawl in, you don't crawl back out. Shishinos tzedakis when in your house. And maybe that's where I get my fear of snakes. I don't know, but I don't know if there's any truth to that or if anybody else was told that. But that always sticks in my mind. And then also too, when you go out in the hills, say on a picnic, or you go out and you say, oh, this is a nice place, and you stop and your kids run around, and so if you can load your kids back up. 4 times. You call their names 4 times, and you're calling their spirit back. That so they don't stay out there. So then you continue on your little outing. I hardly ever go out on the hills, but when I do, I call them by their Indian names. And back to the Indian names too. I always try to call my grandchildren, my children by their Indian names, so they'll know that's their name, and I encourage them to use it too. And then that way I always remind them, what's my Indian name, and they'll tell me, and then I'll say, and if I call them in their Indian name, they come to me and answer, ask me what I want. So I think that really needs to keep on going to this day, so that they don't lose that aspect of their names. And I've given all my grandchildren. I have 13, 2 great grandbabies. They've one granddaughter, 1 grandson, and that 1 great grandbaby don't have names yet. So I feel like it's my duty to get them names. So those are the 3 that I still need to work on. And all these things that I shared with you, as I was thinking about them, things just kept popping up, and my mind was like, you never bounce a basketball in your house. And I never did question it, and to this day I still tell them, don't bounce that ball in here. And they'll say, how come, Grandma? And I don't have an answer for them, but at one point it seems like outside somebody was bouncing a ball and it hit the house, and it was at my grandma's house, and she said that, Alexander, she's the one, because there might be some Indian medicine within that house, and I guess that's that's you're not supposed to hit a house with a ball. Or I don't know if it's with anything else, but that's the other thing that I remember. And then also that you're never supposed to point at the sun or the moon. And I like I said, I never really questioned. I just took that as advice. And also that when there's a thunderstorm, I watched my mom do this, my grandma do it. She'd always cover her mirrors when there was a thunderstorm. And I don't know how many people still do that to this day. And then also these springs are kind of like sacred, and that I guess you never step over a spring. And for what reason, I really don't know, but it's just like, you just obey instead of questioning, and and then also that Cheyenne women are never supposed to touch an eagle feather. Now I don't know if somebody asked this one time, they said a speckled eagle feather. So I don't know what the difference is, or if it's just any eagle feather, but that Cheyenne woman's never supposed to touch an eagle feather. So regardless of what kind of feather, I won't touch a feather, because that was one of the things that was instilled in me, and with that, I want to just hand it down to my granddaughters, because I have a lot of granddaughters, and also that I've always been I learned it from my grandpa John, grandma Josie, my mom, about praying. Ikiato, however you want to pray, just thank him for the day, for your life, just something real simple. She said that they said it's a really important part of your life. You're kind of like your spiritual foundation. And that's what I always tell my grandchildren. I have 3 that live with me, and I always tell them that too, that they need to pray. And one goes to St. Labre, and she said she really likes to go to St. Labre because she loves to pray. And I wish all children would feel that way too, because that sometimes that's the only thing we got to rely on is prayer. And it's a lot of these things that I'm sharing. I wish for males, I really don't know. I guess you would have a male would be the one that would have a list of things that could teach a boy. So with all this that I shared with you, I hope somebody takes that into their their memories of things that they should teach their females. So let's do this.
Yeah. Just pause it.
Yeah.
Okay.